Well, good morning there and welcome to the AM News. In our very first story, some members of the minority are mounting pressure on the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Backman, to admit the motion filed by its leader seeking to reverse the approval of the 2022 budget. In the absence of the Speaker of the House, two controversial issues played out on the floor. First was a decision of the majority to overturn the Speaker's ruling affirming the rejection of the budget, and also the First Deputy Speaker's decision to throw out a motion filed by the minority leader Haruna Idrisu. Tamale Central MP Murtala Mohammed has been speaking to Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
We expect the Speaker, in my opinion, to reverse all the nonsense that happened. And I describe it without any apology. Yesterday...
You expect him to reverse?
We expect him to do so. We expect him to do so.
You don't want progress in the House?
What progress? We must progress at the expense of rules and regulations governing the conduct of all of us, so that tomorrow someone decides that we are not going to even respect the standing orders or the Constitution. We get to Parliament and we give everybody a slap, as long as you are not in white dress, because that is what we think is deemed fit for us to do. When the Constitution bars us from doing those things, are we compromising the very rules, the very laws that we have set up for ourselves? Are we compromising the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana that determines the conduct of everybody, including the President? Is that what we are compromising? I can tell you that even if we need to forfeit our holidays and the budget is relayed for the purposes of respecting the legal and constitutional and standing orders regulations, we can do that. We must not.
There's no seemingly peace in the chamber.
No, there is no any alternative to respecting rules and regulations governing the conduct of business.
You have been part of the budget estimate at the committee level of the trade industry.
Let me.
Your other colleagues have done that. About 4 of the estimates have been laid before the House and subsequently have been approved. In fact, today I am told that about 10 of the estimates will be brought before the House for approval.
Elton, yesterday you saw what happened in the chamber. I was particularly gutted about what happened. You remember when I walked into the chamber, and then they were...
No, I'll talk about that, but the point I'm making to you is that if the Speaker decides to reverse the thing, you have to start all the process all over again.
Anything that is built on illegality must be dismantled.
You are stagnating the progress of Parliament.
No, stagnating. What you are telling me is that we must as well allow crime to fester.
Now, former President Mahama is calling for the review of import substitution on critical foods to curtail the dumping of frozen chicken products on the local market. According to him, the country spent $2 billion on critical foods at the expense of local agribusiness. The former president urged government to invest more in local rice. He made this known when the officials of the Ghana Rice Interprofessional Body paid a courtesy call on him. This interprofessional
and it's being grown in all the regions of our country now. Formerly, it was mostly not the north, because of the level ground was the most ideal place. But now we have lowland valleys and things where rice can be grown, and they have more humidity and moisture. So places like the Volta region are becoming very, strong, competitors in the rice growing area. Western region and other places. And so we can exploit all that to grow more rice. But it takes people who have an interest in it, and government must step in, because it's not about growing the rice, it's about providing the processing facility to move the rice from the farm to the market. I mean, nobody goes and buys paddy rice to cook and eat. They want the rice, prepared so that they can just put it in the pot and cook it. And so between the farmers and the market, there must be enough processing capacity. And so in our time, we try to push processing. The Brazilian company, that set up the mill in Volta region, we encouraged them. They came as investors. We made them, invest. And so the Avnash, rice mill plant in Nyankpala, the Avnash family came here, and I told them that, look, we want to recapture, rice production, so set up a rice milling plant for us. And they did. That rice milling plant is there. It's a first-class rice mill. So we have the capacity to be able to produce enough rice to feed ourselves in this country, and even to export. but it needs that government must, come in. Private sector alone cannot, raise the resources to be able to do it. And so I have said several times that we need a capacity to process. If you bring in the capacity to process, the farmers will rise to the occasion. Of course, fertilizer and things are expensive, but if they get a fair price, for the paddy, and the millers to get a fair markup for, processing and selling, it will be a win-win partnership, And so I do think that, yes, planting for food and jobs is a good thing, but we must look strategically at some crops for which, if we achieve self-sufficiency, it will help this economy. Right now, foreign exchange, our cedi is going down, the dollar is going up, and that is because of the amount of rice we're importing, the amount of palm oil we're importing, the amount of vegetable oils, the amount of chicken we're importing.
He quit his job as a policeman because of his fear for guns, but was killed by a gun in the Ablekuma Central constituency. That is the story of 30-year-old Ibrahim Abbas, one of the people who died during the post-electoral violence last year. At a vigil to honor the memory of the 5 persons who died, the opposition National Democratic Congress served notice the party will ensure persons responsible for the killing face the full rigors of the law if it is elected in the 2024 elections. Maxwell Agbagba has the rest of the story.
Scores of NDC party supporters gathered very close to the town council park, holding candles to mourn the persons they describe as martyrs of Ghana's democracy. Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Peter Boamo Otokuno, led the crowd to sing revolutionary songs.
Continue unabated. Some of these souls
Sister of one of the persons killed, Rainatu Abbas, crying as she read a speech on behalf of her family. She says the soldier who killed her brother is still a free man. She wants President Akufo-Addo to intervene and ensure he is prosecuted.
He attended Ebenezer Secondary School, where he studied science and excelled. In the year 2012, he enrolled into the police training school and completed to work for the Ghana Police Service. Later, he quit his job due to phobia of guns. He later worked as a security personnel for Rana Motors. Though we were not happy about his decision to quit, we respected his decision. He got married to a beautiful wife named Hawau on 8th November, but met his untimely death on 16th December 2020 after being shot at the Collation Center on 8th December. I'm calling on His Excellency, the President, and the IGP. I know he is doing his best, but his best wouldn't be enough if he can't serve justice to these innocent souls. Some of these souls are breadwinners of their families. Mr. IGP, please bring the perpetrators to book. The military guy who shot my brother is still roaming about freely. Please give us justice.
On display here at the vigil ground are pictures of some of the people who died in that post-electoral violence. Prominently featured a 30-year-old Ibrahim Abbas, who comes from this constituency, the Ablekuma Central constituency. Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Peter Boamo Otokuno, says they consider these persons as martyrs of Ghana's democracy. And indeed, he says the NDC will institute a day that they would use to commemorate their passing.
Now, the Adenta municipality in the Greater Accra region has emerged the best performing district in Ghana on the District League Table 2020. The least performing district was Sydney East in the Bono East region. The rankings were based on the performance of the districts in areas of health, education, ICT use, governance, water and sanitation. Hannah Odami reports.
The districts were ranked by the implementation of their annual action plans. Some of them had followed through with their plans, whilst data was inexistent in some of the districts. Governance experts, therefore, want authorities in the various districts to ensure they execute the developmental goals they have set for the benefit of the people.
Just look at the ranking and your score. You could compare yourself to other districts in Ghana. And therefore, in making your budget, you actually know the gap, that this is the area that I'm not doing well. So in preparing my budget, I should concentrate on this area.
One of the indicators used, education, was measured by the transition and completion rates of students. The Gan West Municipal ranked first in its sector, with Ayawaso North ranking the least performing municipal in the same field. The Shai Osudoku district in the Greater Accra region came tops in the health sector with a 77.44% score, with Ablekuma West Municipal scoring the least mark of 3.98%. Access to water and improved sanitation was the third indicator. Here, Adenta Municipal ranked number 1, with the Tiriponi district picking the last position. ICT use and governance were also graded for the 260 districts studied. Research fellow at CSPC of the University of Ghana, Dr. Kojo Opoku, revealed lots of developmental gaps were identified in terms of access to services and distribution of resources. He, however, believes this can be addressed if resources are equally shared.
For given sectors, some districts that are unexpected, they perform well, and others did not perform well. So, for example, in the water and sanitation, we know the background of Adenta and how it performs. So that also tells you the implication of interventions.
Dr. Nana Ato Arthur of the Office of the Head of Local Government Services wants citizens to use details of the document to hold their officials accountable.
If today I'm going to argue that there's lack of infrastructure in a particular region or particular district, I don't need to go far. I just take this document. And if I'm going to see Ms. Dufay, have I pronounced it right? She has a copy of the document. So she wants to test whether the person coming to see him or her understand the issues that the person is coming with. So if I go and I talk nonsense, it means that I've not even read the document. This document is very good for all of us. Questions that we should be able to ask our leaders. Just take a copy of this document and it's there.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odami.
Now, doubts about the feasibility of President Akufo-Addo's led administration Agenda 111 project has been taken a notch higher. Associate Professor of Applied Economics and Finance at the University of Development Studies, Professor Haruna Isahaku, is convinced allocations made for the project under the 2022 budget goes further to prove the unrealistic nature of government's promise to deliver the health facilities within 18 months. There's more in the following report.
Professor Haruna Isahaku was speaking at a forum on the 2022 budget jointly organized by the Star Ghana Foundation and Joy News. The focus was on equitably financing education and health services delivery during a pandemic. Government vowed to build 101 health facilities across the country within 18 months. But assessing the location for the project in the 2022 budget, Professor Isahaku described the allocation as insufficient. He was the main speaker at the forum.
The allocation to Agenda 111 project from 2021 to 2025, the total is hospitals by 2025. Not to talk about adding 7 regional hospitals and 3 specialized hospitals. And indeed, I must mention that if we fully utilize the current allocation, we would only be able to construct 35 district hospitals by 2025 and not 111 hospital projects.
Programs Officer at Star Ghana, Harriet Ejekum, who was a member of the panel, charged government to concentrate on basic education in the country. She observed that education at the basic level had received less attention in terms of financing.
From all we have said, working within constrained budgets and allocating more to a certain level of education means that the others will receive less. Automatically, they receive less. But we should get our priorities right as a country so that we get everybody basic education that we have been talking about as a country, rather than paying more attention to one sector or one level of education.
Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, also noted that urban areas have too many teachers who must be moved to the rural areas to bridge the gap and to improve quality of teaching and learning in public schools.
The opportunity is that we have a tremendous oversupply of teachers in many districts. In Adenta district, for instance, there are more than 250 teachers in Adenta's primary school that are absolute surplus to labor requirements. Can you imagine more than 320 teachers teaching just 18 primary schools, 1/8? So the opportunity is that the Education Ministry and GNS will have no option than to think outside the box and innovate on how to redeploy and rationalize teachers and ensure that teachers needed in Zabzugu and Nkwanta South, for instance, are shipped from Adenta to where they are needed.
Other speakers, including Professor Ekuya Nidoho and Professor Eric Esibe, made these submissions.
We tend to think of the LEAP program and other social protection measures as consumption. They are luxuries, they are charity, right? And I think it comes back to this question of, are we truly trying to, are we really considering that people are at the center of the things that we do?
We begin to now think about how can government come up with very innovative revenue measures that will perhaps be ring-fenced for education and for health, like we did some time ago with Get Fund, where we put 2.5% VAT and ring-fence it for education. And we all know the benefit that has come. Can we create that kind of fiscal space and ensuring that there is value for money, there is expenditure reprioritization towards education and health and then social protection?
The budget estimate for 2022 is yet to be approved by Parliament. The minority in particular have fiercely resisted the budget, largely because of the e-levy and the non-inclusion of support for victims of the recent voter tidal wars. The finance minister has since made some modification to the budget and has presented same to Parliament.
And that's it for the AM News this morning. But of course, the show continues and we'll be diving straight into the newspapers after this. Stay tuned in.